All right. We're going to talk a little bit about revenue streams generally, and then we'll get more specific. When we're talking about staying afloat in our business, it's time to add revenue streams to our businesses. We want to always be asking for work, ask for referrals, ask colleagues to share in their networks what your skills are. So when you have that list of marketable skills, so let's say, for example, for me, uh, I actually finished a voiceover project for somebody, and I had forgotten how fun that was to do voiceover work. And so I contacted another friend of mine and I said, "Hey, I know you're also in this market. And I know you do like a lot of things with different business journals and radio stations and TV stations. If you hear of anybody needing voiceover work, will you pop my name out there and my contact information?" He was like, "Yeah, that's awesome." So again, that's not my main gig. I don't do voiceover work full time. This is my full-time gig. But you know what? I was reminded I'm set up well to do voiceover work remotely and I enjoy it. And so why not make a little bit of side cash from it, right? So, and I asked a colleague, will you put my name out there because I know you're in some of these similar networks? So always be asking for work, always be asking for referrals, always be asking your colleagues to share. When you ask someone to share, make sure you've shared their work first. Because I know a lot of people who contact me and they want me to share their work and they have never once shared mine. So be careful about who you're asking and make sure that they are willing to share your work, but make sure you are willing to share their work as well first. Some people may have to get, during these times of chaos, a secondary job, and that is perfectly okay. And I want you to right now turn off that switch in your brain that says there's shame in going out and being an Uber driver. There is no shame. There is no shame in getting a second job. There's no shame in working somewhere else part time. Zero. Okay. So if that's where you are, perfectly fine. Go do that and make that money, honey. Because again, there's no time to sit around and wait for ideal clients to come into your business. If you already have materials that you use as a business owner, if you have developed worksheets, if you have developed materials in your line of work, that you can convert to different mediums like workshops, like what we're doing, online courses. If you could market to a school locally, where maybe the funding has been cut for arts, right? Maybe you can package something for your school district that they can use that would be a lot cheaper than all those teachers that and departments that they don't have anymore. Maybe there are ways to integrate things into their curriculums. Maybe not for right now. These are not immediate solutions, by the way. If you're creating an online course and if you're flipping all these materials, it takes time to generate that income. Look for collaborations, partnerships, affiliates. I personally don't do Amazon affiliate stuff because I don't do Amazon anymore. But if you do, totally okay. Again, no judgment. You can make a little bit of income from those affiliate deals. You can also strike up partnerships with other colleagues in the industry and collaborate with people. Usually, collaborations can lead to paying things, partly just because we're out there networking and we're getting into other people's networks as we work with different colleagues and form different partnerships. So yeah, Brenda, we're gonna like make money, right? Just kidding, just kidding. Anyway, the other thing that you might need to consider in terms of a revenue stream is, do you actually need to go out and get a business loan, or do you need to consider a line of credit for your business? Um, again, no shame if that's where you are and if that's what you need to do. I know a lot of business owners who did that during COVID and got the PPP loans. It's totally fine, but don't go into debt in order to get that. So know before you get a loan or a line of credit how you're going to pay that off. Because if you can't figure out a way to pay it off, then you have no business taking out that loan or line of credit. When we're thinking about alternate market conditions and alternate business plans, we need to be thinking about timelines, because there's nothing worse than running yourself in emergency mode indefinitely. That only creates burnout fast. So, for example, when COVID lockdowns happened, I initiated my emergency plan for my business, and I said I'm going to plan to be in this mode for 12 months. And then hopefully I will have a way out figured out by then. But I set a timeline of 12 months of how I'm going to teach online exclusively. I ended up not needing to do that. Okay. So it was more like 6 months that I used my emergency plan during COVID, but I had a timeline and that helped me mentally say, I can get through this. I can survive for 12 months. But it also helped me deal with the financial aspects because I was able to project out for 12 months what I would need to do financially in order to stay afloat and work on like as much of a shoestring budget as I could possibly do, while I was also spending and investing in my business. So make sure you set up a projected timeline right now for how long you're going to stay in this kind of emergency mode. And then my last piece of advice for this time period is make sure you're documenting or journaling what you are doing on at least a weekly basis or a monthly basis, because you will be surprised when you look back at how valuable that information is. When I look back at my journaling from 2020 and 2021, I'm like, wow, I actually did okay. I was thinking some things really, really well. And now I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a really good idea. I should try that again. So when you document, you're actually helping yourself out, not only now to get it just out and dump from the brain, but you're helping your future self. Let's talk about creating multiple offers. And this is where I want you to kind of take your next action step in the next week or so. When we talk about creating multiple offers, when we have normal business conditions, we should be creating anywhere from, in a normal business environment, anywhere from 3 to 8 offers in a normal business environment. Okay. Whether you have services or products or both, you should have anywhere from 3 to 8. Just period, end of story. During crisis times and uncertainty, you need to double that. You need to have many more offerings at low price points. And there are some examples there. Medium price points, which is where a lot of us are going to be with our main source of income, like my studio would be considered. I have a lot of services that are medium price points. And then we should have some things that are also high price points, because you know what? There are people out there who do have money and they are looking to spend it right now because they want to invest in themselves, and you need to be ready for that. So don't just think that by cutting rates, you're actually going to make more money. You need to have low price point offerings, medium price point offerings, and high price point offerings, whatever that means for you. So in my studio, I have half-hour lessons for littles who are just doing audiation work, and there's no method books to buy, no nothing. And it's a $45 a week lesson, low price point. Okay. I also have an online course. It's priced low, it's evergreen because I never have to touch it. I also have some other materials that I have that are, again, low price point, and they're just there, they're available, they're evergreen, and I don't have to touch them. People can just go buy them. I also have my medium priced. So these are my basic services, like my one on one lessons. But then I also have things that are high price point, that are customized or VIP, or anything that requires a lot of hand holding or a lot of time investment on my part. And those are at a much higher price point. And I know some would argue, looking at my stuff, that I'm not priced high enough. I get that.